All right, let's get started. So, hello and welcome to today's training, Overview of Reporting, Focus on OASIS and HCATs. This training is offered by the Office of Professional Services and Human Capital categories within GSA's Federal Acquisition Service. I want to let everyone know today that this presentation will be recorded, so please feel free to step away from this meeting if you prefer. My name is Kim Schumacher. I am a program analyst with the business operations team at GSA, and I am also a part of the OASIS CPRM support team. You can reach me and the rest of our team at OASIS CPRM at gsa.gov, which is listed on the upper left side of this slide. While I work primarily with OASIS, we are happy to welcome our HCATS users as well to this call. They also report in CPRM. Their contact information is also on the upper left-hand side at hcats at gsa.gov and sbhcats at gsa.gov. Today's training is intended for those who will be using CPRM regularly to report on task orders, what we call our administrative users. If this isn't you or you haven't yet identified the main CPRM user, please be sure to share these slides and resources with the individuals who will be responsible for reporting on your OASIS contracts. This training is currently offered every other month. Occasionally, we also offer a more informal office hours session where you're more than welcome to come and ask any questions you like. Before we get started, there are a couple of housekeeping items I'd like to go over. I will be taking all questions at the end of the presentation, so if you have a question that hasn't been answered during the course of the presentation, there will be plenty of time at the end to ask. Also, we will be emailing these slides out to all participants on today's call. Eventually, these slides will be available in the industry section at the OASIS webpage. There is a version already of this presentation there. The slides are just in a different order. The OASIS webpage is linked on this slide in the lower left-hand corner. I am going to navigate over to that industry page right now because it is a great resource for you, and I'm going to mention it several times throughout this presentation. So, this is the gsa.gov website. When you're navigating for the OASIS website, you're going to go to Purchasing Programs and then OASIS and OASIS Small Business. For HCATs, you'll go under Products and Services and then Human Capital. So I'm going to go over to the OASIS webpage right now. Okay, and there's a couple of things I just want to point out here quickly. There's many helpful websites on this, links on this webpage that are very helpful. So I definitely recommend coming here and just viewing some of the content. In the Industry Guidance and Resources section, which is right here, you'll see that the Contract Reporting heading, which has the Contract Payment Reporting module underneath it. When you open this drop-down, there's a couple of things here. This slide deck right here is the training we're doing today, as well as the prices paid trainings and the invoice upload template for uploading multiple invoices. There's definitely a lot more helpful things on here. I'm not going to go through all of it now, but there will be some things that are referenced in our training. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. The numbers on the left-hand side refer to the slide numbers of these topics, which you can click on to go directly to. You can use this slide as sort of a table of contents for this presentation. So let's begin. On a high level, CPRM, or the Contract Payment Reporting Module, was designed to meet the reporting requirements of stakeholders such as OMB. It provides data for required prices paid analysis, tracks obligations, and tracks revenue. CPRM standardized all the data inputs related to the OASIS contract vehicle. Even though each contract is a little bit different, we need the data inputs to look the same so that we and our customers and stakeholders can get the big picture on OASIS. So what does this mean for you, our industry partners? CPRM streamlines reporting capabilities. It also reduces manual data calls and other task order activity reporting and provides payment status tracking, which also helps you to calculate and pay your CAF. On CPRM, it is important to note that CPRM supports multiple contract vehicles. Not all functionality, instructions, or tips embedded in the modules will apply directly to OASIS. Please refer to your OASIS contract for specific reporting and CAF requirements. Training resources. In addition to today's training, there are several sources of training on the use of CPRM. There are the training modules available right within CPRM that are produced by the development team that supports CPRM. These are generalized for all users of CPRM, as there are multiple contract vehicles that use CPRM. The new portlet, which is linked right here, was recently designed to be searchable for easier access to the documents and presentations. I will briefly demonstrate that tool right now. So here's the access to training modules, and it's going to open up this screen here. And in here is just a very helpful, quick little reference on what you'd like to search for. So for our function, we'll search CPRM, and then we'll select a category. We'll do training materials. And when you hit the search button, there's 3 different training modules for the training decks that were presented for the different topics here. So this is a really useful tool if you're looking for quick information on how to do a function in CPRM. And back to our slide here. Okay, so the next place you can look is the industry guidance page on CPRM that we just looked at. I showed you the prices paid data training and the invoice upload template that were linked there. Finally, you can also reach out to our analyst team via the OASIS CPRM inbox. We are happy to answer any questions you have on reporting in CPRM pertaining to CAF, invoice, awards, etc. Just send us an email and we can help, or send us a message. You can request a meeting with us, and we can go over, step by step in a team setting with you and your team, and share our screen, which can help answer any questions that you have. And next slide here. So CPRM support. For general technical support, such as user account information, password recovery, anything in this box that you see to the right, you can reach out to the Assist Help Desk at assist.servicedesk@gsa.gov, or by telephone here. If you are outside of the continental US, the telephone number for them is also listed on this slide. As a best practice, you should always use your contract number in correspondence with the service desk. As I mentioned on the previous slide, for your questions related to reporting on your OASIS contracts, you'll want to reach out to our team at oasiscprm@gsa.gov. Similarly, our HCATS friends can reach out to hcats@gsa.gov or sbahcats@gsa.gov. So accessing CPRM. CPRM is located within the Assist portal. I've linked the URL here. You can self-register for an account by selecting registration, then register contractor, and then you're going to select the checkbox for RBA CPRM, which is circled on this slide here. If you already have an Assist user account for managing contracts under another vehicle, you can add CPRM access by editing your account profile and requesting the additional access. Please note that your company POC must approve this role. We do recommend assigning a primary and a backup to have CPRM access. Depending on the size or organization of your company, the main CPRM user may be different from the contract or program manager. So to add your contact information, you're going to want to update your industry partner contact information, which is very important for us to be able to stay in touch with you. GSA will reach out to these contacts when we have questions about the data reported in CPRM, or if there's any CAF payment related inquiries. You should enter the people responsible for reporting in CPRM. This should include the contract manager, program manager, and an administrative user. We recommend using a group mailbox as well to help alleviate having to upload your POCs too often. You can access the industry partner contract form by selecting the CPRM communications dropdown, then search industry partner contacts, and then click the add button. You will then add the contact person's name, select the corresponding contract number this person is a contact for, select the contact person's role, enter the contact person's phone number and email address. Remember, we do strongly recommend the use of group email addresses. And then you're going to click the Submit button to save the information. Once you have POC information in CPRM, you can edit the information by clicking on the person's name on the left side in the Search Industry Partner Contacts screen. Moving along here, contractual reporting and CAF requirements. These are all of our sections in the OASIS contract that pertain to these items. So CPRM should be an accurate representation of task order activity. This means that all data reported in CPRM should match exactly to your contract and your invoices. You must report all new task orders within 30 days of the award. You will choose how you are reporting your invoices in CPRM, either by the date you invoice your customer, known as by invoice date, or by the date you receive full payment from your customer, known as by paid date. You will then report the same way for the life of the task order. It is important to note here that all the CAF you report on your invoices during a quarter should also be remitted to GSA. Every calendar quarter, you are required to report invoices on all of your active task orders. If no invoices were generated to your customer, if you're reporting by invoice date, or no payment was received from your customer if you're reporting by paid date, then a $0 invoice will need to be reported to satisfy this reporting requirement. I will cover how to report invoices in a later slide. Specific requirements for CAF are that it should be included on every invoice and on its own CLIN. This means the entire invoice is subject to CAF, which includes line items such as travel, ODCs, and materials. The contractor should include CAF at the proper CAF rate. The standard CAF rate is 0.75%. There are agencies that have MOU agreements with OASIS, which authorize a reduction to the CAF rate. These MOU agreements can be found on the OASIS website. CAF is a pass-through from your customer to GSA. The expectation is that the CAF you invoice to your customer should equal the estimated CAF, which is calculated in CPRM, and that should also equal the CAF that you're paying to GSA. You shouldn't be paying GSA any CAF funds you have not invoiced or been paid, depending on how you choose to report your invoices. As a reminder, every task order awarded should include a separate CAF CLIN calculated against all other CLINs on the award. If you come across one that doesn't include a CAF CLIN or is not fully funded to include all the other CLINs, please work with your ordering contracting officer to have a mod executed to correct the funding. So how to enter your new task orders in CPRM. Remember, all new task orders should be reported in CPRM within 30 days of your award. The order data form functionality is customized to match the type of contract you're entering, so fields will begin to populate as you're entering the data here. You can access the order data form by selecting the Orders dropdown and then selecting Enter New Order Package. There is a Guide Me link on the right side where you can find the help document for this form. You will notice tooltips will appear on the right side of the screen to help you enter the correct information into these fields. So you'll start by selecting your contract number in the first drop-down box. Based on your contract information, some fields will auto-generate. You will then add your initial funded award period of performance start and end dates. And then you'll begin typing the name of your OCO. This should auto-generate the OCO information to select. However, if it does not come up with your OCO's information, just start typing your OCO's email address and it should populate there. You will select the receiving agency from the next dropdown. And then the next section is where you will attach your documents to the task order to include the award, solicitation, and copies of all mods. Once all information has been entered, click the Submit button at the bottom of the screen to save your order. Once you've created your task order, you can navigate back to it by selecting the Orders dropdown, selecting Search Orders, and then clicking on the task order number, which will be on the left. You can edit your task order by selecting the Edit button at the very bottom of the order data screen at any time. You'll need to do this periodically. For example, when you have new mod data, you'll have to attach the mod document. I want to note that some fields once entered and saved are not editable directly, like the period of performance and the obligated dollar amounts. These fields are dependent on you reporting the associated mod in the mod section and will auto update to match. So quarterly reporting and $0 invoices. The calendar reporting deadlines on the right of the slide can be found in the OASIS contract in section G.3.2.4. All active task orders have a reporting requirement every quarter. We mentioned earlier that the method you choose to report by, either by invoice date or by paid date, should be followed for the entire life of the task order. And to reiterate, we expect that the CAF you report on your invoices is going to equal the estimated CAF that CPRM calculates based on your CAF rate and sales that you have reported on the invoice. And then this should also match the CAF you remit to GSA. If no invoices were generated to your customer if you report by invoice date, or no payment was received by your customer if you report by paid date, you will have to report a $0 invoice instead. If there was an intentional gap in reporting, this will satisfy the quarterly reporting requirement. And a $0 invoice is entered the same way as a new invoice, only you would select zero invoice data, as shown on the right side of the slide here, instead of the regular invoice data. So entering invoices. So there's two methods for entering your invoices in CPRM. The first method is to report them line by line. This is helpful for new users to see how the invoices are compiled in CPRM as they get started with reporting. This is also a good method to use if you have a few task orders with a few line items. You can access the invoice data form in the order data screen. You're going to scroll until you see the invoice data section on the left in red and click the Add button. On the right side of the slide is the invoice data form. You will select the invoice data option, and then you'll enter the date of the invoice if you're reporting by invoice date, or the date you were paid if you're reporting by paid date in the invoice remit or paid date field. The reporting year and reporting period fields are optional, but they are very helpful for you if you need to look back at your invoices. You will see an import function here on the screen, but you are going to disregard it. It is not used here. The comments field is required if you are manually overriding the CAF total and it no longer matches the estimated CAF calculation. All right, so method two, second slide. In the table, you'll begin entering your your invoice line items. The default invoice has one sales line and one CAF line, which cannot be removed. If you have to report a correction in which one of the two components wasn't billed, you would just enter a $0 value in the price field here. The type, price, quantity, and unit fields should follow the prices paid data guidance, which is located on the OASIS webpage. And then you can add more line items by clicking the Add Line Item button. Once finished with your invoice, you're going to click the Submit button to save the invoice. You can edit your reported invoices by clicking on the invoice number in the order data screen under the invoice data section and then clicking on the Edit button. Okay, now for method two. Method two is uploading multiple invoices by using the tool in CPRM. This is very helpful if you have many task orders to report on or many line items on your invoices. I know it says multiple invoices here, but you can upload just one invoice that may have a large number of line items as well. To navigate to this option, you have to go into a different section in CPRM. You'll click the Invoice Data drop-down menu here and select Upload Multiple Invoices Upload Package, and you'll see the Invoice Data Package upload screen shown on the right of the slide. The invoice upload template can be found on the OASIS website, as I showed you before. The template does have an instructions tab to help guide you through filling in the template. Once you have filled out and formatted the template and saved it, click on the Choose File button and select your template. The file will appear as an attachment. Click the Upload button to begin uploading the invoices. A verification screen will appear to show all the invoices uploaded correctly. The system will alert you if there are any errors that you encountered in the upload process, and it will try to guide you to a fix. Once you make your corrections, you will save and choose the file again to begin the upload. And then when the verification does not encounter any errors, your invoices will be uploaded. You can always double check this in the order data screen. I want to also mention here that this method can be very tricky to use. Should you have any trouble getting your file to upload, we are here to help. Please send us an email to oasiscprm@gsa.gov, or if you're on HCATS, you can reach out to the HCATS emails to request assistance, and we can schedule a time to screen share and walk you through the process together. The good news is once you have the working template, you can reuse it every quarter to save you some time and just update the information to the current quarter's invoices. All right, some final tips for invoices. The submit button functions as a save button within CPRM, so it's a really good idea to save your work often, as you can always return to your submitted invoices and edit them at a later time. CPRM will automatically log you out after time, so if you take too long to submit an invoice, you will lose all your work and have to start all over. So definitely save often. All right, so let's talk about some prices paid data. So what is prices paid data? It is the actual labor rates you report on your invoices. PPD is required by OMB for all best-in-class contract vehicles, which includes both OASIS and HCATS contract vehicles. Prices paid data supports greater acquisition transparency, and the prices paid data is shared government-wide with acquisition professionals for price analysis. PPD does pertain to not only labor hour and time and materials task orders, but also firm fixed price and cost plus type task orders. We do not want any proprietary information reported on these orders, so all PPDs should be uniform to the associated type. In the firm fixed price example on the left here, you will see the type is fixed price on the labor line with a generic description, and the price is a sum of all labor with a quantity of 1 and a unit of unit. All other line items outside of labor are reported in units with their associated types such as travel, materials, ODCs, etc. In the cost plus example, you'll notice that it is very similar in reporting to an FFP invoice. The only difference is being that the type field on the labor line is cost, and there should be a line for the award fixed incentive fee. Now, for labor hour and time and materials type task orders, you do need to report the fully loaded labor category hourly rates and number and hours that were invoiced. This means you will have one line item for each different labor rate and category on your invoice. This can get to be several line items, so I will refer you back to the invoice upload template to save some time here. You can see an example of labor hour and time and material labor invoicing on the right side. Okay, so here's a helpful table to summarize most of the codes you will use on a regular basis in CPRM on your invoices. I want to point out here that we do see the question asked a lot about overhead and G&A expenses. These would all fall under the other unclassified line type. Also on any T&M and labor hour orders, if your labor category is not in the list of codes, which is generated by the Department of Labor, you can select undefined labor instead. We want to try and avoid using this code as much as possible for data accuracy, and we do ask that you select a close fit to your labor category. There are some generic codes, like managers all other, that can be used to closely relate to your category as well. A full list of all labor codes can be found on the invoice upload template. So invoice reconciliation. GSA will start reviewing your task order reporting immediately following each quarter's reporting deadline. For example, quarter 3, which we are in now, has a reporting deadline of October 30th. GSA will begin reviewing orders on November 1st. Our analyst team will specifically compare all new orders reported in FPDSNG and CPRM to make sure all information lines up. We make sure an invoice was reported during the quarter for each task order. We analyze the CAF values between the invoice CAF, estimated CAF, and CAF paid to GSA. We review the prices paid data on all invoices, and we ensure all required documents are attached. We will reach out to you if we see anything that is not in compliance with the OASIS contract and help you on how to become back in compliance. Occasionally, we will reach out to the IOA team or ConOps on escalation issues as necessary as well. All right, so I'll now walk you through entering your CAF payment voucher and paying your CAF in CPRM. You can access the CAF payment data form by selecting the CAF payments drop-down menu and then clicking on Enter CAF payment data. You'll begin by selecting your company in the drop-down. You will have multiple options to select from if you support multiple divisions within your company here. Next, you'll select your contract family. Once this is selected, the CAF payment allocations table below will auto-populate with all your task orders that have invoice data. It is important to remember that you can only remit CAF payments by contract number. You can include several task orders under one contract, but each voucher and payment can only be made for one contract number at a time. Next, you're going to select the remit date associated with the payment you're making. Then you'll enter the voucher number. This is a unique number that you will create as a way of tracking your payment. An example would be first quarter 2014. Next, you'll enter the total amount of the CAF payment you are making. This has to match exactly to the payment you are remitting to GSA. Then you will enter the allocations of your payment total to your task orders. The CAF payment amount must be fully allocated in order to submit. And you can add additional task orders by by typing in the task order number in this box here. Again, remember to only remit payments by contract number. Remember to click on the Submit button when you're finished to save the voucher. All right, remitting CAF with Pay.gov. Pay.gov allows you to easily remit your CAF payment to GSA. A Pay button will appear on all pending CAF vouchers after you have clicked the Submit button. The middle screenshot in this slide illustrates the Pay button after you have submitted your voucher. You can also access your vouchers by navigating to the Order Data screen and scrolling to the very bottom. Then you can click on the voucher number to open the CAF payment data form again. You should then see this Pay button as illustrated in the screenshot on the left side. When you click the Pay button, you will leave CPRM and connect to Pay.gov. Your contract number and payment amount will be carried over for you. You will then fill out the payment information in the screen that looks like the right-hand screenshot here on the slide. Pay.gov payments are done by electronic bank transfer, so they do reconcile pretty quickly. The status of your payment voucher will change to reconciled once the payment has cleared, or it will change to rejected if the payment has been rejected. GSA does not receive very much information on rejection reasons, so you may want to verify with your bank before remitting the payment again to make sure it goes through the second time. Okay, so entering mods. Modifications will need to be entered into your task orders as you receive them. You can access the mod data form in the order data screen, then scroll to the order modification section and then click the add text in blue. You will begin by entering the mod number. Next, you will review the period of performance, start and end dates. If the mod extended or shortened the end date, you can change the end date here to accurately reflect the end date of your task order. This is how the order data screen refreshes the period of performance. You'll then enter a short description for the mod in the order mod description box. Next, you'll enter the increase or decrease to the obligated funded amount. This is the only amount changed by the mod itself, and it shouldn't include any amounts in the options that haven't been exercised yet. The total estimated value will update automatically to match the total obligated funded amount if a mod increases the amount beyond the previously entered total estimated value. You can enter this value in the order data screen by clicking the edit button at the very bottom. Remember to click the submit button to save when you are finished. You can always edit the mod information by navigating to the order data screen again and clicking on the mod number in the order modification section, then clicking the edit button. So task order closeout. Once the period of performance has ended on a task order, contractors should begin the closeout process in CPRM. CPRM will notify all POCs when a task order reaches the ultimate completion date. The OCO should issue a closeout mod, which will remove any unexpensed obligated funds from the task order. You can also submit a release of claims in CPRM in lieu of this closeout mod. The contractor should then ensure all invoices are properly reported and the total equals the remaining obligated balance. Make sure that the CAF that was paid to GSA matches the CAF that was invoiced, which should also match the estimated CAF in CPRM. Once the task order has been reviewed and is reconciled, the contractor will validate the task order. And then once the task order is validated, it is locked out to any future editing. So please be sure that you're finished making any changes before validating the order. GSA will then review the order and either validate it or reject the validation pending further action, which will be noted in the comments section. All right, this concludes our training session. I want to thank everyone who was able to attend today. I will be sticking around to answer any questions that you may have yet, so please begin typing them in the chat area. And then as a reminder, the Q&A will be documented and emailed to all participants who attended today. So we will begin answering questions in just a few minutes. Okay, our first question is, will the BIC-MAC replace the OASIS system? Brian, it will not be replacing OASIS. OASIS is its own contract vehicle. The Services MAC will be a new vehicle once it goes live. Okay, it doesn't appear we have any other questions. I do want to just remind everyone that is still on the call that if you do have any questions, we are here to help you. You can send us an email at oasis@gsa.gov or oasis CPRM, sorry, at gsa.gov or the HCATS team at hcats@gsa.gov. I want to thank everybody again for attending the call. Have a great day.